And a couple of weeks ago, you told Matt Lauer that Donald Trump would not win the presidency. Do you now think that he will not win the nomination as well?
I think foreign observers are troubled by some of the rhetoric that's been taking place in these Republican primaries. I'll leave it to you to speculate on how this whole race is going to go. I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration.
We call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking.
We're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
The Biden White House is under investigation. The auto pen signed 8,000 pardons. The auto pen was first used regularly by President Truman. He used it for simple stuff like thank you notes, nothing serious. Obama changed that. Barry had a portable auto pen that he used in Europe to sign major legislation. First time a machine ever signed an actual bill. The pen was the best kept secret in the Oval.
That things like technological change, things like mass media, things like the market are all subject to our control.
We are in regular touch with these social media platforms. We're flagging problematic posts for Facebook.
As revealed in a Time magazine article in February of 2021, individuals and organizations have been plotting to fortify the election since at least 2015.
This is the inside story of the conspiracy to save the 2020 election, but it's massively important for the country to understand that it didn't happen accidentally. Democracy is not self-executing. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. They got states to change voting systems and laws and helped secure hundreds of millions in public and private funding. That's why the participants want the secret history of the 2020 election told, even though it sounds like a paranoid fever dream. A well-funded cabal of powerful people, ranging across industries and ideologies, working together behind the scenes to influence perceptions, change rules and laws, steer media coverage and control the flow of information. They were not rigging the election. They were fortifying it.
You can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
My next guest has seen some of the tens of thousands of texts exchanged by two FBI officials who sent anti-Trump messages during the 2016 campaign and beyond. He claims those texts include a reference to a, quote, secret society.
Chairman Gowdy and I were reviewing those text messages yesterday and came across that one. So there is a reference in the immediate aftermath of the election of Donald Trump where Page and Strzok refer to hitting thumb drives and maybe having the first meeting of the secret society.
What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
And when you take that in the context of their expressed, not just bias, but their intent to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president in the first place, and then some of the texts that were read in the intro about finishing the job and fixing things, it really does tell a troubling story that we need to investigate.
Look, I think that everyone is going to have to take a hard look at where they want to be at this moment in history as we're looking at efforts across the country to prevent people from being able to exercise their fundamental rights.
The burdens of global citizenship continue to bind us together. Partnership and cooperation among nations is not a choice. It is the only way.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario. This is information warfare.
And welcome guys to Monday night. Glad to have you. As of course, this is pre-recorded, guys, because my band will be uplifted on Facebook on the 14th of August, and I'll be able to do my lives like I've been doing for the past 5 years. And everybody will be welcome, like usual, to join into the lives, give their feedback, and the family, the Freedom Family, the comment censors, of course, our American patriots. You guys will once again be joining in as of the 14th. I don't even know when the 14th lands on, to be honest with you, what day it is. But either way, it's better to be just banned for a month on doing lives and what they did to me the last time, and definitely erase my account. So anyway, I hope you liked the introduction to that. It was a 7 minutes and 50 seconds long of an introduction, but it pretty much summed up exactly the Democrats and what they try to do with Donald Trump in the 2016. I can go more and more of exactly what the main plan was with Hillary Clinton that was supposed to win, and what was coming down the pipeline for the world, not just Americans, but for the world. If you guys only knew 10%, just a quarter of exactly what the main plans were, if Hillary Clinton would have won, you guys would definitely open up your eyes with the Donald Trump thing and kiss this man's feet for what he has done for society. But of course, anybody that goes against Donald Trump, I've said it once, I said it twice, I'll say it 1,000 times. You guys are definitely been touched by the devil in himself. Personally, you guys are pretty much complete demons at this point if you haven't figured it out by now. Ignorance comes to mind, tardation, even though I can't put the tardation in comes to mind. Ignorance, useless eaters, the Kissinger famous line, useless eaters. And I have no sympathy for the people if they can't figure it out right now. And again, like I said, if anybody hasn't figured it out as of now, to me, you guys are all demons in my book. And I pretty much know after 5 years, if you can't figure it out by now, you'll never figure it out. And even if the truth came out tomorrow, you still wouldn't believe it. And to me, I think society that knows what's going on, I think we should pretty much gather everybody, put you all on the same island, and let you guys survive on your own. Put it this way. I have other ways to, I could love to say, but we'll just leave it to that, of course. Anyway, welcome to tonight's live, guys, Monday night for real truth with common sense. And it's real raw truth, not just only truth, real raw truth. Now, I've been getting a lot of messages lately, right? And I've got some videos about the immigration and what can we do and how can we fight against the immigration, especially in Canada. I'm going to tell you straight out, okay? We don't have a Donald Trump in office, to be honest with you. The person we have, obviously, people say Carney has failed us right now. Carney has failed Canada. What you guys need to know is Carney didn't fail Canada. Carney is exactly where Carney has to be and wants to be, and what the plan is. Carney's got an A+ of what he's trying to do to Canada. All right. For the people that voted for him and you think that Carney's failed, no, Carney's right on the dot of exactly what us people have been trying to tell you guys of what the Trudeau and the Liberal government but for the tardations, that said that, well, Carney's not going to do like Trudeau's going to do. Obviously, it's a different party. He's a businessman. He's a banker. So he's definitely different because, you could always trust your bankers. Huh? If there's one thing that I don't trust more than the law and lawyers and judges is bankers. They're in the top 5 for people you should never, ever trust. All right, period. I could say some extra comments, but I won't. What I believe that bankers should be all in the same category and what should be done to them. So yeah, and not just any banker. Literally the devil's advocate is exactly how I describe Mark Carney. All right. So if you don't think that Mark Carney is not the devil's advocate, all right, I want you guys to take a look at this picture. All right. And tell me, make it make sense. All right. Make it make sense. And what disgusts me even more is a couple things, is the piece of shits that are hanging behind him to guard this piece of shit. All right. Those are the guys that if there was ever a night to purge, these would be the people that would need to be purged. Obviously, if there was ever a night that we had to get, that we were allowed to purge, like the movie Purge, these would be the, I would definitely be the, these guys would be the top people to purge, to even, to even protect this evilness, because this is exactly what this is. If you believe that this is right to have a half-naked man walking down the street, and you think that is, humanity, if that is righteous, if that is anything to do with anything discreet, you are completely nuts, and you need to seek mental health, not financial health, because you're not going to seek anything financial in Canada, but you really need to seek mental health. And that's the problem. Most of the psychologists, psychiatrists, they actually need common sense themselves, to be honest with you. None of them have street smart or common sense. Guaranteed, I can promise you that. So they're not any better. But make it make sense, guys. Make it make sense on how this is even possible. I've already told everyone, and everyone should know by now. I had a viewer mention something about we're all going to hell because we don't support the two LGBTQT BINGO narrative. And I said, listen, all right, and I won't say the name, listen, in case you didn't know, all right, God's against the gay people, all right, because if you don't populate, he's totally against it. That's number one. Number two, he destroyed 2 cities, put them on fire, 2 cities, right? We know what cities, Goda and Sodom. Don't, maybe I might have missed a vowel in there, but I've got the Goda or Sodom, those 2 cities that he burnt because of the wickedness of the stuff that was happening in those 2 cities about the gays and all that. Burnt those cities. So I literally said, Pride Month, stick that together. Pride Month, check it out, what it actually means in the middle, which spells out demon. And if you can't figure that out, then I'm sorry, my friend. You seek mental help. So we'll just leave it to that. So as the stuff's been happening around Canada, with the Donald Trump thing and the whole tariff, he had a specific duty to talk to Donald Trump. And the day before the deadline for the tariffs, what does he do? He's going to recognize Palestine as a state. And that he knew exactly what would happen, but he's not going to recognize it now, even though I don't follow that narrative bullcrap. He's going to only recognize it in September, but he had to say it at the perfect time because he knew what would happen if he did say it at the perfect time, that Donald Trump would say, see you later. And like I said before, guys, and I'll say it again, I don't care what any other podcaster says, we are going to feel the pinch, the brutality of what Donald Trump is going to do to the people of Canada. And it's sad because he doesn't want to do it on purpose, but with the amount of stuff that the news has been doing, and the politicians and the elbows up crew, the amount of corruption that they've been talking bad about Donald Trump on every channel and every donut shop and every coffee shop, he's gonna say, you know what? Okay. And I do the same thing. I make Canada hurt so bad that they're literally on their knees begging to become the 51st state, even though we're already the 51st state. He threw that out there as a test to see what the reaction is. He didn't like the reaction that these elbows up crew was getting. So you know what? He's gonna teach us a lesson, I guess is the best way. And I don't blame you, Mr. Trump. I don't blame you at all, because I'd be doing the same thing if I was in your position. I'd be saying, you know what, Canada, it's time for you to feel the pinch. And in the meantime, while you're feeling the pinch, like the United States, he did to the United States for 4 years with the Democrats, he's doing the same thing here. But at the meantime, while he's doing this, he's going to do his thing with the corruption around the world and the awakening and showing everybody what the Liberal Party was all about. Because I don't know if you know this, but not too many things have been happening over in Australia, right? Because they cleaned ship over there in Australia. We don't see too many things about Australia right now, right? Yeah, because they're taking country by country by country by country, and they're cleaning house. They're draining the swamp by country by country by country. They started with New Zealand and Australia, and they're making their way around. All right, just to let you know if you're wondering. Canada, save Canada for last, and that's what we're going to be. We're going to be the last. Is it going to last for 4 years until the new election, or is there going to be a by-election where they kick out Carney? I can't predict that because I don't follow Canadian politics. I think it's a waste of time. Again, I don't waste my energy on Canadian politics. It's a big joke. If you like circuses and you like clowns, then go ahead. But anyway, a lot of people have been asking me lately in the past 2 weeks, what can we do about the immigrants? What can we do about the immigrants? Well, guys, I'll tell you exactly what we can do about the immigrants. It's very simple. All right. Even though we know that the government is funding the immigrants, I hear people all the time. Well, not all the time. I hear the liberal elbows up people say, well, if it wasn't for the immigrants, taking those jobs because Canadians are lazy. They don't want to work. See, they try to normalize that, guys, for the past 3-4 years. Actually, probably further than that, probably 6-7 years since Trudeau came in office, because they were setting up the play. They were setting up the black ball, right? Like if you ever played pool, that's a good analogy. Basically, they were setting up the cue ball, all right, the cue ball to the black ball, getting ready, all right, getting ready to hit that ball in, but they're setting it up, all right, and they're trying to normalize it, saying Canadians are lazy. They don't want to work. So they make these people believe that Canadians are lazy and they don't want to work. Like a person said, if it wasn't for the immigrants, who's going to serve your Tim Hortons coffee that you need your Tim fix? Well, let me tell you something, Miss Elbows Up, which I won't say your name. The problem is those jobs were always filled with students between the ages of 16 and 19, right? And older people that are on their pensions and they don't mind having a side job, to still feel like they're still alive. All right. Those jobs were always filled by those types of people. Everybody's first job was always at a gas station or a restaurant / Tim's. Well, it's got nothing to do with Canadians being lazy, why they're not getting hired at places at Tim Hortons. I'm sorry, but I know the owner of Tim Hortons personally. He owns 35 of them. And other things. He is literally banking on a boatload of money of incentives that is coming to him from the Liberal government with our tax paying money to give every store incentives of paying 40% of the Liberal Party paying 40% to subsidize every immigrant's salary. And depending how big your business is and how many you hire, they even get other breaks from the federal government / I won't say federal, I will just say Liberal Party. Just in case you guys didn't know that, they actually get federal loans and tax breaks, not on top of the other stuff with the subsidies for taxes. So it's got nothing to do with Canadians being lazy. You elbows up, ignorant pieces of, okay? Nothing to do with that. So my advice to everybody out there, if you want something to be done, it's a very simple process. Very simple. Stop supporting every Tim Hortons place in Canada that employs these immigrants. Stop going there, because if there's anything that I know, and if you would analyze and visualize, you'll notice that immigrants don't go to restaurants. Immigrants don't go and drink coffee. Immigrants only support immigrant businesses. That's number one. But a lot of the immigrants save their money, all right, and they send it to their families in India, Pakistan, Punjab, Africa. Well, even though I don't see Africans working, it's funny to say that, but it's completely true. I'm not saying 100%, but we're going to say 90%. I don't even know how most of these people around my area, all brand new homes, guys, even though they're duplexes, I would say a good 60% of them are filled with Africans. And trust me, I don't care if you know the next African and they're nice and stuff like that. I'm sorry, but there's no such thing as them working. And if they work, they don't work too long, and they drag their feet. And you'll notice when you go into places, you'll go, you know what, that Jeff Frieden was right. They're very lazy people, right? Because when they're firing 3 school teachers, African school teachers, they're firing those African school teachers because they're falling asleep in the classrooms, and that's coming from a reliable source that's in the same school. Then that just goes to show you. And you're noticing a lot, especially in the United States, with the whole race war. I'm going to show you something, right? Because I didn't want to get into the whole race war, because I'm going to start doing TikTok videos. And TikTok videos, because my son showed me how to do what they call reaction videos. And we're going to have TikTok things that I'm going to be looking down at a video, and you're going to have my reaction. And they're not always going to be good, but they're going to be straightforward. There's going to be no filters. And it's literally going to tell you what everyone is thinking about. And I'm going to say it as it is on my TikTok account, which I'll be spreading my TikTok account to everybody when it's ready to go. Because so many things that I'm trying to do on the side to learn more, but you guys are going to like the reaction. Some of you might not. Oh my God, that just sounds racist. Like someone said today, racist, sounds racist. And I said, listen here, you libtard. Okay. look up the words of racist and realist and learn what the definition is. Either way, you just pointed yourself out of being liberal, elbows up. All right, piece of the crap emoji. So thank you for doing that. And the conversation was on Facebook. There's another church that they burnt down near my area, and all I said was, well, as much as I'd like to say it's the Muslims burning down the church, more likely it's the homeless burning down the church on purpose, because a lot of the homeless are going around burning down things because these people are mentally challenged. And then some lady says, oh my God, that is so racist of you, because I said I'm Muslim. And then one of my close friends says, is Muslim a race? Right? Simple question. He asked her, is Muslim a race? Is Islam a race? No, Muslim's not a race. Muslim's a religion. See, that's what I mean with the definition and how pre-programmed people really are. They don't even know that Muslim and Islam are not races. They're religions. All right. Thank God to one of my friends, Big Pete Smith, that said, is Islam Pete knows this stuff. He said, is Islam a race? Because he was being sarcastic. But anyway, I want to show you a few clips, guys, about this. But my biggest thing, stop supporting businesses. If you need your coffee fix in the morning, find a business, a local business that's not incorporated, and help the mom and pop shops that are not owned by immigrants. Okay, when we all do this, when we all stop supporting businesses owned or operated by immigrants, or they're using the subsidies paid by us, this is when the owners say, we can't do this no more. We're going to fail. You understand? It is that easy for all you Canadians. And I'm gonna preach it. And I'm going to preach it until you guys are sick of hearing me say this. But stop. If you know that Tim's is full of immigrants, stop. Go to another place. Find another place that serves coffee. Because Tim Hortons coffee and food is terrible in the first place. So why do you do this? Because you know what it is? Insanity. And if you do look up the definition of insanity, which I think everyone should know the definition of insanity, is when you do something over and over and over again, it's insanity. All right. So stop. One, supporting. I just found out today that Cora's, there's a breakfast place in the town called Cora's that I used to go. That just got bought out by two immigrants, two Punjabis. All right. So I'll never go back to Cora's again. I'll never go back to Tim's again. I'll never go back to I can't remember what the place called that my girlfriend said it was. They just bought it. I think it's Deluxe on Mountain Road for the people in Moncton where I live. Every business that you know that is owned and operated by immigrants, stop supporting them. When you stop supporting the business, as a previous business owner of multi-million-dollar companies, it only takes 2 to 3 months to get some bad months, and you can't rebound from that. All right. These businesses are either going to do one, restructure, or two, close down. All right. But the message is stop supporting these businesses. And this is a way on how to drive them out. All right. Because if they lose their jobs and the government subsidizes their paychecks, their payroll, the companies, but the companies are firing them because real Canadians are not giving their business to these companies, they're going to have no other choice to either move back or, of course, sit home and collect welfare. All right. Now, don't get me wrong. They can do their Ubers. They can do their taxi cab driving, because I don't support either. All right. And I don't believe people should be doing Uber in the first place or what do you call it? Skip the dishes. All right. Because that's where most of them are too. Skip the dishes and the other stuff that gets delivered. That just makes you Canadians look lazy, to be honest with you, when I hear about the word skip the dishes. So stop supporting it. All right. At the end of the day, stop supporting it. Because at the end of the day, the Liberals have done so much to rig the election and it's the smart way. In case you guys didn't know, all right, they've done so much to rig the election, and I'm just gonna fast track it. All right, just to let you know, they took a map of Canada. They found the areas that were voting conservative, all those areas that had conservative voters. What do? When these immigrants come into the country, they specifically take these immigrants and they put them in those conservative places to make sure when the election happens that the conservatives get overran by the liberals. For example, if Edmonton this year won by 100,000 votes, conservatives over liberals, they're going to put 120,000 immigrants in the Edmonton area. You see how easy that is? They're not stupid. New Brunswick was a conservative province, except the French tards that live in the the upper northern area in Kent County and stuff like that. Those tards that never went anywhere in their life, don't know anything about society, don't know anything about life, period, except their little bubble, their little French bubble that they don't get out. They don't know anything. Those are the tards that keep the liberals in power. But if you notice the people in New Brunswick, we've always had a conservative government for the longest time. So what did they do? They flooded New Brunswick with so many immigrants. That's why the people in New Brunswick, if you're wondering why you have so many immigrants, is because they're flooding them with liberal voters on purpose. And guess what that's going to do for the next so many years, unless we get a Donald Trump in here to deport them, is it's always going to be liberal. And they've done this all through Canada. And a perfect example is Pierre Poilievre's riding, of course, in the Carleton area. It went up by 40,000 immigrants in the past 3 years, guys. That's not a lie. 40,000 immigrants in the last 3 years that they put in Pierre Poilievre's riding. That's the only reason why he lost. All right, just to let you know. So anyway, we're going to do a couple videos and pictures with immigrants and all that stuff. But this is a good common sense analogy about the definition of immigrants and the definitions of settlers / colonizers, I guess you could say. But take a good look, because this girl, she hits it on the nail. She deserves a Grammy for speaking the truth, but also for common sense. Check this out.
This chick explained how to argue perfectly with a liberal who tries to tell you that immigrants built this country. This is the perfect response.
Immigrants built this country. No, they didn't. Settlers did. Well, settlers were immigrants. No, they weren't. Immigrants come to a developed nation looking for opportunity. Settlers go to an undeveloped land and create opportunity. That's very different. You're splitting hairs. No, I'm splitting facts from delusion. Settlers had no infrastructure, no government, no roads, no welfare, no economy. People who immigrated here later on did not come to build it from scratch. Well, but immigrants still contribute. Yeah, totally. If they come here legally, if they bring value, if they assimilate, yes, they can contribute a lot. But don't try and rewrite history. Oh, so you hate immigrants? Dude, I am an immigrant. I came here legally. I came here to contribute to this country. I didn't come here for handouts. And that's the problem that I have with immigration now. These people want the benefits of America without becoming Americans. They come here hating this country. They break the law to get in here and still expect us. They are entitled enough to think that we should welcome them with open arms and as if they were heroes. They demand rights that they've never earned, reject values that they've never lived, and feel entitled to a nation that they don't even respect. That's what I hate.
So good.
A to the men.
Support our show by supporting our sponsors.
She nailed it. As much as I like to say, I'm pretty good at common sense, but she nailed it right on the money. I mean, completely, exactly why I hate immigration. And I've said it many times. Well, we're all immigrants. This is native land. Give me a break. If it wasn't for the settlers, we still be living in, they'd be living in teepees. There wouldn't be no bingo, and they'd be still hunting squirrel to eat. So don't give me that baloney. There's a lot of things that are coming out, and I'll stick with immigration to start, because I literally, it boils my blood, because I'm seeing more and more. I'm seeing it more and more and more on a daily basis, not a monthly, not a yearly basis, on a daily basis of how my little city that used to have 80,000 10 years ago, we're something like 130, 140,000 now, guys. That's crazy. All right. We're getting to the range of an extra, 40,000 people in the last 10 years. All right. And I'm telling you now, it's going to get worse. I don't like to fearmonger, but I'm telling you, it's going to get worse unless we have someone like Pierre Poilievre to deport these people. But the problem is, it's not only the scams, but the Africans are just as bad when it comes to the ghettos, the crime, the rape. You watch and see they're the second generation and the third generation. They're going to put us exactly as cities like what's happening in Halifax with their African Canadians. And the past so many years, there's places you can't even go in Halifax and Dartmouth, and it's not Dartmouth, it's Dartmouth, that you can't go without getting robbed. When I used to date a girl, she used to be a flight attendant, and she used to work for JetSmart or JetSco, or can't even remember what it was called, back in 2000 and sorry, it wasn't even 2000. It was in 99 to 2001, and she was based out of Dartmouth. Well, I went and bought her a nice kit for her car, a nice underneath kit, and in less than 2 months, the kit was stolen. The insurance bought her a new kit. It was stolen again. Then they put her car up on blocks and stole her rims and tires on her Acura. And it's not good old white folks. Come on. All right. Let's literally, let's say it as it is. All right. Because Dartmouth, like I said, is just filled with ghetto black people. All right. And it's really bad now. I can't even imagine what it would be now. But I'm just saying, we'll just leave it to that. But this is the generation that's happening in Dartmouth and Halifax and Toronto, of course. This is what's going to be happening in Moncton. St. John is getting pretty bad with, that generation. And of course, Fredericton's getting real bad too. But I'm seeing it in Moncton on a daily basis. Every time I go out or I go to the mall, I'm seeing the same thing. And it's going to be to the point that when my son graduates from high school, I am sorry, but it's going to be adios amigos for all of Canada, because I won't be here. Even if they shipped every Punjabi out, it's still not going to help this situation. Listen, if you really want to know the truth on how to make America great again, if you really want to make America great again, keep the Mexicans that want to work, get rid of the ghetto African people, send them back as, slaves back to their country. If you really, really want to make America great again, that would be their best bet. Keep the Mexicans. At least they work. At least they're hardworking people. If you really want to, and if you don't believe me, check out a lot of videos that are going viral, including that girl and her husband and another white person that just got beaten up because they went to a jazz festival the other day. I mean, it's happening everywhere, but the news ain't going to report it, obviously, but it's reverse, because the news didn't report that lady getting beat up in Milwaukee, that in Cincinnati. No, that was because of social media that put that video out. News never covered that, obviously. That's the thing about the news. But if it was the other way around, a black female and a black male and another black male get beat up by a mob of white people, cities would be burning down. So if you really want to make the world a better place, Canada, well, not so much Canada yet. It's going to be bad in the future. But America, get rid of the African Americans, the ghetto African Americans, not all of them, the ghetto African Americans. Keep the Mexicans that want to work, because Spanish people are really humble people. I take them in a heartbeat over Punjabis. I take them in a heartbeat over Africans. I take them in a heartbeat over Iraqians, Iranians, those sand jockeys. All right. I take the Mexican people, the Spanish people over those people every day. And, I wouldn't take the people that are tattooing their faces, obviously. Those are pretty much the same thing like the ghetto African Americans. But get them out if you really want to make America great again. But check this out, guys, with what the immigration has done in the UK alone. But check this out. I just want to give you an example because it's happening around the world. But check this out, because this is everywhere.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. So there is a whole crowd of people in the park today, and the rubbish is phenomenal, absolutely disgusting. I cannot believe what a state the park is in. So I mean, just look at this by the bins. It's absolutely dire. Nappies, just look at this. What are the mothers who are doing this? Do you have no shame? Look at that.
Not a white person in sight, guys. And the thing is, those were diapers. In case you didn't know what nappies are in Britain, British, those are diapers. They just throw them. And you know what? I've seen it myself at the Centennial Park down here in Moncton. The amount of trash that these people were throwing around. I just went there the other day and I analyzed it. And of course, there was 90% of the people at the Centennial Park where I live. Of course, they were all immigrants. But I look at what they leave behind, where they were doing their barbecues, and you know, they don't. The trash is the ground, all right. And the time we wake up is the time that is probably going to be too late, because things are happening on a daily basis that we don't understand. And what I mean is, check this out. If you guys don't believe me, this is the new Minneapolis. I hope I said that right. Minneapolis is new mayor. Guys, I don't know if you guys need to check this out. Omar Fatah wins Minnesota Dell endorsement. All right. Just to let you know, this is a Somalian immigrant. All right. Just to let you know. So they're taking over. Minnesota is a complete Somali, like it's Somalia. If you don't believe me, check out the Minnesota and look up how many areas they're trying to do with the Sharia law, because believe it or not, they actually have Sharia law in parts of the United States, including I heard, well, Michigan 100%, but I heard in Maine there's some places that you can't go because of Sharia law. Trust me, guys, I'd be strapped up to the T waiting for someone to say, hey, you, boom. That would be it for those people. And that's what's going to happen. And they're doing this on purpose because they're trying to take over. And things got to happen. Things got to happen to stop this on a daily basis. And in case you didn't know, check this out. If you don't believe me, Muhammad, okay, the name Muhammad takes over the name Noah as the most popular boy's name, Muhammad. Even though I didn't really want to name my son Noah, because I knew everyone else was going to name their kids Noah in the year he was born. I wanted to name my son Zachary. But Muhammad overtakes Noah as the most popular. You know why, guys? Because they are doing this on purpose. They are having babies left and right. Every immigrant that you see that's coming in, they're literally having kids within the first 6 months as soon as they're here, because they believe if they have a baby, it's a Canadian baby, they can't be deported. All right. And that's a true fact. And even happened to 2 Africans that I let stay in my apartment, which will never happen again. She got pregnant. They moved here in November of 2024. And then they had to relocate, 2023 November. They moved in my place February. And by March or April, she was pregnant, and they had to find a bigger place because she was pregnant. So yeah, 6 months. So, and the thing is when you guys got to understand, when they say, like I reported the other day, when I said they're bringing in 110,000 Africans in New Brunswick, not in Canada, New Brunswick, in my province, you got to remember those Africans, all right, might be 110,000 today, but in 2 years, 3 years, that 110 just turned into 140, 150,000. But let's be real, 140, 150. And then another 3-4 years after that, now we're up to 160. You understand? That's how it's played. And if you're not going to tell me they don't know this, all right? Because Africans, just as much as Somali, as Punjabis and Indian people, they have kids like crazy because it's free money. Anything free, they're going to do it. All right. So it's getting out of hand. And what people don't understand is it's going to get worse. All right. All right. So let's share another video because there's a few more video guys with the news in the United States. You heard about that guy that shot up the NFL building? Well, anyway, check out the news, what they were saying about this gentleman. This goes to show you anybody watching CNN or any kind of mainstream media need to stop. Check this out, what they say, who the shooter was.
Who he is?
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City.
Did that person look white to you guys? Did that person look white to you guys? Like, I don't know about this dinosaur and who he is, but if he's already got a set of glasses, but if you think that guy looks white, check it out. I'll play for 5 seconds. Take a look on the right-hand side. Is the video going to let me play? Nope, the video is not going to let me play again. So we're just going to delete it. But anyway, you couldn't any more darker than that person.
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City.
I hope you took a good look at that picture and tell me if that make any sense to you. I don't think anyone believes in coincidence by now. If you do believe in coincidence, then you're still not wide awake, okay? But I've shared a video like this a long time ago, but there's actually more to this video. It's 1 minute and 27 seconds. And tell me, because symbolism will be their downfall for the people. If you know, you know. All right. But check out this video. It's only 1 minute and 27 seconds. But it's like he says, tell your history teacher how to explain this. I think you guys will like this. It's pretty cool, but there's no such thing as coincidence.
This is the biggest coincidence in history. Try asking your history teacher to explain this one. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860. Kennedy became president in 1960. Both leaders were deeply committed to civil rights. Both first ladies lost a child during their time in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday, and both were shot in the head. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by men from the South. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who took over after Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who took over after Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, Lincoln's assassin, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, Kennedy's assassin, was born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their full 3 names. Both names contain exactly 15 letters. Hold on, it gets even more bizarre. Lincoln was shot in a theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a Lincoln car made by Ford. Booth and Oswald were both killed before going to trial. And finally, the wildest part, a week before Lincoln was assassinated, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was killed, he was with Marilyn Monroe. Lincoln was shot in a theater and his killer fled to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse and his killer ran to a theater.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that video because you know what? There is no such thing as coincidence. That's way too much for coincidence, if you ask me. I think you guys can all agree with me for that one. All right, so what do we got here? There's something else. I don't know if you guys realize what... was there something to that? Yeah, here's another video for you guys. If you don't think Donald Trump has done a lot of things, because this has never been released. It has been released in the last 3 months. But I think you guys should know if you haven't seen it, because obviously they're trying to stop it from being released. Check out to see who the real killer was for JFK. You guys will be surprised, even though I've shown it and I've said it a long time ago of who actually killed him. Here's the video, the actual video. All right, so you're going to let me play?
So they ordered his execution. It was actually ordered by the policy committee of the Bilderberg Group in The Hague in Geneva, Switzerland, and was carried out by agents of the secret government in Dallas. The man who actually administered the coup de grace was the driver of the car, William Greer. We have a film in beautiful living color that you can actually see with your own eyes.
Check out the driver, guys. Check out the driver.
Pistol in his left hand and shoot the
Right there.
president point blank in the
See it?
head over his right shoulder. It's incredible that this has been hidden from the public for all these years. But the same film has been shown on television for all these years. But they've always zoomed right in on Kennedy and cut the driver out.
Right
So you can
there.
never
See
it.
him with the gun?
It's the Zapruder film. It
Right
was never
there.
shown to the Warren Commission. They never saw it.
Right there. That was the fatal shot. Right there was the gun, right there. More and more people. Over and over again. There's the gun right there. The driver. So I hope you guys seen that, but that was the driver. I'm going to keep that video because who knows, maybe I'll use it again in the future. But yeah, you actually seen the driver with the gun go like this, looked over to make sure and shot him. But there was two shots. There's one from the warehouse or from a tree. They say warehouse, either way, that hit him and hit the mayor that was in front of him. But it's the driver that did the fatal shot, just to let you know. Because obviously when you already seen that the president was still alive, so he's the one that finished it off because he was the backup plan. So things like that never got released until Donald Trump made sure they got released. So let's... something that RFK has promised, make America healthy again. Well, he just put his word and backed up his word. Check what he did for the people that are collecting food stamps. Let's see if it lets me play. I don't know why it's going too slow for me.
Her changes to the SNAP program are emblematic of that commitment. SNAP, SNAP, we're spending $405 million a day on SNAP, and about 10% is going to sugary drinks. And between, and if you add candies to that, it's about 13 to 17%. And we all believe in free choice. We live in a democracy. People can make their own choice about what they're going to buy and what they're not going to buy. If you want to buy a sugary soda, you ought to be able to do that. But the U.S. taxpayer should not pay for it. And the U.S. taxpayer should not be paying to feed kids foods, the poorest kids in our country, with foods that are going to give them diabetes. And then my agency ends up through Medicaid and Medicare paying for those injuries. So we're going to put an end to that, and we're doing it step by step, state by state.
Or allowing people using food stamps to buy candies and sugar pops, obviously that causes obesity, heart problems, which of course causes Medicaid to be skyrocket. Just common sense. Basically it's the exact same thing that they do to people down here. The natives, they allow the natives to open up not drugstores. Well, if they wanted to, they could. Pot shops, beer stores, gambling places, because they know what's gonna happen with the natives. Because the natives love to drink. The natives will smoke pot. The natives will just do what the natives need to do to pretty much annihilate. I can't even pronounce it. To destroy themselves, I guess is the best word. I'm sorry, guys. I can't even say annihilation. I can't even pronounce it. I can't even believe. I don't know if it's the French, but sorry about that. But really, to destroy themselves is what they do. It's common sense. They know what they're doing. All right. It's like putting a kid in a candy store and telling them, okay, don't touch. Like, how long is that going to last? Same analogy of what they do with the natives. There's a little thing here with Gene Ho. He talks about with Donald Trump, obviously, because obviously Donald Trump is the man. and with the Q. So it's only a minute long. Let's check out the video and see how it goes.
How long has this plan been going on? How long has Donald Trump been working to make America great again? Of course, yesterday I showed you this, the very first George magazine, and it's very interesting in the letter to the editor, and this I didn't show you yesterday, but there's a little plea from JFK Jr., very interesting. We hope you'll get involved because, as a wise man once said, politics is too important to be left to politicians. And it's very interesting, and I showed you yesterday that JFK Jr. set a time, date, just interesting. I don't know, a clue, said every 30 years, and even made that number in 1992, which is interesting. And I showed you before that 30 years later, this magazine, George magazine, his magazine that he started, came back, and it's very interesting because it says on there the return of Trump, and of course, the same month that came out, Donald Trump announced that he would run for president again. But it's very interesting because remember when he said 30 years? What did Donald Trump say? Donald Trump has been saying the same thing for 30 years when it comes to running for president. The heck is going on?
Yeah. Is that coincidence, guys? Could be coincidence once again, but I don't think so. I don't believe in coincidence anymore. Obviously, everything has a plan. We'll just leave it to that. What's this? Hi, Jeff. I checked on Rumble and it's not live on there. Well, it should be. That man does. Yeah. Well, it should be. It should be on Rumble. Miss Christine, my channel on Rumble should be going. I think it's got to be going. Yeah, it's saying that it's going. So who knows? Again, but. Either way, I do my live starting on the 14th and we get back to where we used to be. And then I'll try to calm down to not get banned again, which will be pretty much hard not to do. Either way, guys, I think that is it. I'm going to might show you something else with Donald Trump here, something else, because we were talking about coincidence. Check this out. Do you believe in coincidence? Well, in 2020, Q posted a graphic that said, American coup d'etat stating, when this is finished, a much bigger graphic will be needed, much bigger. The biggest political scandal in American history. Today in 2025, Donald J. Trump posted the exact same. And as you can see, coup d'etat from back 4 years ago, guys, in 2020, 5 years ago. On the left-hand side was the Q drop, and look what Donald Trump just put in, the coup d'etat, the same one from 5 years ago. And you're going to tell me that there's that this is all by coincidence? Yeah, I do not think so. No such thing, guys. But I want to show you that. All right. So, speaking of coincidence, check this out. There's a statue of a reptile dragging a child into a sewer. It's located in Brooklyn, New York. I remember seeing this. It's borrowed where the underground tunnels under the synagogue were found in January of 2024. Remember that place where they found underground tunnels by a synagogue? Were found in January 2024, where they had to open up a certain thing in a synagogue, open up the wall, and they seen these tunnels, and they had baby stuff. Well, the child's head depicted as a money bag, and the child trafficking basically symbolizes child trafficking is the biggest business in the world. And this is literally a statute in New York. And you're going to tell me that, that child trafficking hasn't been around for a long time. Yeah, it has. So it is what it is. I think we're wide awake. For the people that don't see it or don't know anything about it, I'm sorry. If you don't know now, you're never going to know. And I think this is one more thing that I want to share with Trump. Breaking news: President Trump just announced. Here we go. Annihilated. There we go. There's that word again. It's gonna torture me. Literally killed European leaders over allowing their countries to be invaded. So that's what I was talking a while ago, guys. That what he did is he literally cause an awakening in the Europe countries, saying you're letting your leaders to be invaded on purpose. So he says, you better get your act together or you will not have Europe anymore. You are allowing it to happen to your countries, and you have to stop this horrible invasion happening to Europe, many countries in Europe. So that's what I should have shared that a while ago, guys, with the whole immigration thing, but I forgot to share it, obviously, because I'm not as, it's just a one-man show. And I don't do this for a living, obviously, like some podcasters do. But either way, it is what it is. I do my best, and you still get the news, and you still get the raw truth with common sense, with no filter. I think I need to put that on, no filter. So remember, diversity is not a strength, it's a weakness. Immigrants come to this country for a reason only. Don't give that BS liberal. They came to better their lives. That is a lipstick analogy. You know what I mean? And if you don't know what a lipstick analogy is, it's a kiss ass. It's an oxymoron. That's not why their main purpose is here. They didn't come to assimilate. They came to rob us of exactly what they've been doing now for so many years, but they're doing it on a vast pace that is hard for us to keep up with. And you're not going to notice until it's too late, and you're going to say, uh-oh, what have we done? But then what do you do when they're here already? Purge them? That's the next thing. If you're going to support them, the next thing is only purge them, because all they're going to do is bring poverty. They're going to destabilize the economy. They're already destabilizing the education right now as we speak. Many teachers are quitting their jobs on a daily basis as it is. Healthcare is, you don't even want to know about healthcare. Go to a hospital if you don't believe me. Any hospital. Good luck. Our welfare system, well, you can guarantee our taxes are going to go over the roof because someone's got to pay to support them, just to let you know. Anyway, guys, I love you all. I'm going to sign off. We'll see you guys back next Monday. Obviously, I can't do any lives until then, pre-recorded, unless something important comes out. But here's a little outro video just to get the heart going. I like this ultra video on Trump. It's just to tell everyone that there is a plan. It's happening. We don't see it. We might not see it, but it really is happening, just to let you guys know. Anyway, like Don Cherry says, you people hold that line. I love you all. And again, it's not speak your mind. It's nothing to do with racism. It's being a realist. And when you realize what's going on, you don't be scared to speak out, plain and simple. All right? Because if you don't speak out, you're just destroying your kids' futures and your grandchildren's futures, and of course your future if you're a young person. Anyway, speak out. Don't let any of these liberal elbows up dirtbags shame you, I guess you could say. Shame them for being ignorant. And like I said, you'll feel a lot better at the end of the day. Anyway, enjoy the video. We'll see you guys. Adios, amigos, to my Colombian family.
This represents?
What all is it?
It's the calm before the storm.
What's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.